This is Johnny Grimes, and this is 10 Questions with Furnace Fest. This year's lineup is pretty different than last year's. I think this year there's a far more diversity across the board. I think we really did a great job this year striking that balance between OG music, new and up-and-coming music, so I'm pretty excited about that. So I think it's a little bit more diverse, and it caters to both the older crowd who's into punk, hardcore, and indie, and the younger crowd as well. Furnace Fest came about actually in 2000. Good friend of mine and partner Chad Johnson owned a small little DIY record label here in Birmingham, and he thought, hey, what better way to give my bands exposure than to put on a music festival? And so that's what he did. It ran from 2000 to 2003. My favorite part of Furnace Fest is the people. Hands down, the music's great, but the best part about Furnace Fest is the people. We really strive to create a great event that people love to come to, but we want it to be more of a family reunion than anything. And so it's really the people hanging out, having a good time, listening to great music. That's all wonderful, but it's really the people that make it so special. The biggest challenges to having a festival is having a festival. There's just so many complex things that go into planning and executing a festival. Worried about the weather, whether it be insurance, all these different details. That's one of the hardest things. But hands down, the most difficult thing is worrying about what the weather's gonna be like. Bands that I'm most excited to see this year are Mind Force, Drain, MS Paint, Pennywise, and Bane. It takes quite a few people to run this festival. Thankfully, we've got a really good team here locally in Birmingham, but there's 4 managing partners. We have hired Denise Koch, who runs an event company here in Birmingham. There's probably 15 to 20 of us that are working on it consistently. The improvements we made this year really have all to do with the facility. Sloss is an amazing venue. It's one of the most unique venues in the country, but it does pose quite a few challenges when planning large-scale events like this. The shed stage was in really bad condition. The plywood that was laid on top was rotting, and so we decided to remove all that plywood and cut the front of the stage off, raise it to 4 feet, which is industry standards. And then out in our main field, which was a huge nightmare last year, it was just dust and dirt and sand. We actually graded it down to the best of our ability and put recycled artificial turf down. So no more dust, a little bit more room in the shed stage, upgraded the lighting under the viaduct and the lighting walking up to the stage. So the worst part of Furnace Fest is worrying about the weather, the heat. Those are the 2 worst parts of it. There are so many different challenges with booking 90 bands or 99 bands and so many different things that goes into that. That's super stressful, but the worst part is just worrying if it's gonna rain or not. So the original Furnace Fest was really just intended to be a smaller DIY music festival. I think max, maybe there was 2,500 people that came during 2000 and 2003. But the main reason why Chad was putting it on was to give his bands on Take Hold exposure. And so it's much smaller, way more DIY, which is cool, but not that many people, maybe 2,000 to 2,500 attended. This version of Furnace Fest is much bigger during COVID to get a main stage out in the field and actually open capacity. Instead of just focusing small, we said, look, let's open it up and see if anybody cares about this festival. We did go much bigger. So by scale, this festival is probably 3 times as big as the older festival. What I want to say to the people watching is come and enjoy it. Come have a blast. It's going to be amazing. We start at 12 o'clock on Friday. We end at 11 p.m. on Sunday. If you can't get there for all 3 days, buy a single ticket. Come and have a good time. Thank you, LCY, and this is 10 Questions with Furnace Fest.